Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Okay, so this is class 2. We still dealing with levels and deen. So with this class though, if y'all can hear me okay, just type in some nines. Okay. So again, continuing with levels and deen. So this is going to be lessons mixed within a lesson. So when you look at your notes from class 1, where we had what was Dalil. So a lot of times when you hear about these levels in deen, Islam, Iman, and Ihsan, one who has Islam is a Muslim. One who has Iman is a Mumin. And then one who has Ihsan is a Muhsin, right? And then one who has Nifaq is a Munafiq. Then there's one that we haven't put in, but we're going to get to it. The one who has Taqwa is Muttaqun, right? So we'll get to that one. But these things, a lot of people that talk about these levels, they always use the hadith of Jibreel. So when we're dealing with Dalil, Quran first, how it should be interpreted, Sunnah, which is hadiths, how they should be interpreted, Ijma', which is athar, narrations from the companions, Ijma' athar, right? They basically hadiths, but they from the companions, Aisha, what have you. So what we're gonna do is use the dalil from the Quran as opposed to the hadith of Jibreel. So we're gonna do step 1 first. We're gonna do step 1, the Quran al-Kareem. So we're gonna show these 3 different levels and why they benefit. Now I'm gonna use my phone to pull up the Quran ayat, so I don't have to flip through the book, just for the sake of time, because I gotta do stuff, y'all gotta do stuff, so we squeezing this in. So we're gonna start with let's start with the Munafiq first, because it has the most. But I want to show y'all something about the beauty of Surah Al-Baqarah. Now, and so the lesson that's also within this lesson is knowing how to go find your stuff in the Quran first. And the beauty of this is for the individuals who reject hadiths, they may have heard of the hadiths, and they don't know that the hadiths is tied to the Quran. So when you know how to find it in the Quran, the hadiths actually make more sense. That's one part of the lesson. The second part of the lesson is you can see what you lose in the Arabic when it comes to the English, because sometimes you won't get these terms, Muslim, Mu'min, Muhsin, is going to be in the Arabic. You see what I'm saying? But it's not going to be in the English. So you lose a little bit when you understand the true meaning of these words. So a lot of us Muslims, by the way we've been informed about the deen, the information that gives to us, we mix Muslim and Mu'min together. You see what I'm saying? So like a Muslim, which we're going to show from the Quran, a Muslim is one who has accepted Islam, submitted to the fact that Islam is the truth. They believe that Allah is real. They believe that Islam is the true religion. But that doesn't make them a believer in every aspect of the deen in their heart. And once it's in your heart, that triangle comes out, where it's manifested through your tongue and your limbs. Right? It's manifested through your tongue and your limbs. No. So there's a difference between a believer as far as a Mu'min and then one who believes in Islam. Now I'm saying that because in the Quran, in the English, they just put the word believer for both categories. Because in English, you don't have the words to separate the two. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, it leaves us confused. But let me show y'all something from the beauty of Surah Al-Baqarah. When we start at 2, how it touch every category. From the Muslim, right? A little bit of a higher level of Muslim. And then the disbeliever. And then the hypocrites. So we're really touching it because we want to get to the points about the hypocrite, right? So you have Surah 2, this book, right? The Quran. This book, there is no doubt about it. There's nothing in it that you should doubt, right? It's a guide. There's guidance in it for those who are al-muttaqun, right? Those who fear Allah, right? You got forms of taqwa, that Allah, that consciousness of Allah. So it's letting you know right there, right? Sometimes in the English, it'll just say those who are mindful of Allah. That's how they are translated. But the Arabic has muttaqun. Muttaqun, they fear, you know, just like when you hear people say itaqillah, fear Allah. Muttaqun comes with those who fear Allah, those who have taqwa of Allah. So, and they're conscious of Allah at all times. So your Quran is letting you know the guidance. This book is a guidance for those people. This is what it says. This book, there's no doubt in it. There's nothing you should doubt about it. And it's a guidance for those who are al-muttaqun. Right? You fear Allah. Right? You you have taqwa of Allah. Right? Because some people who don't fear Allah on a certain type of a level, they will change the Quran into what they want it to mean. And it's going to speak about this, what happens with them in the same thing. So continuing on, right? So this book, there's nothing in it that you should doubt. And this book is a guidance. The ones who's going to be guided by the Quran properly is the ones who are al-muttaquns, right? And so who are al-muttaqun and they love Allah much. And when it's saying, when you go to the tafsirs, when it's saying they love Allah much, it's saying by performing all kinds of good deeds which has been ordained, right? The things that Allah tells us to do. You know what I'm saying? Like in our society, there's things that we consider to be good deeds, but then in Islam, throughout the Quran and Hadiths, it tells us what's good deeds in accordance with Allah, and we may skip them. Like one thing that a lot of people don't know is, do you know what could be a good deed? Let's say you have a serious kafir. I want to be careful with these words. Or people who have some twisted, bogus beliefs in Islam, and they're changing the religion. Do you know that it's a good deed to deal with them on a certain type of level of harshness? To make them come from up out of that? But you have to see where their level is, and you have to talk to them and show them the dalil and prove to them. And then if they refuse to believe because they're putting themselves in a particular category. But some people don't know that this is a good deed in Islam, because you are protecting this ummah. This is people who's corrupting the religion. And when you go to understand that, How does Allah feel about people that corrupts the deen of Islam? Those who, like we're saying in the Quran, who say things about Allah that Allah don't say about Himself. In some English translations, it says they tell lies about Allah. Some of us tell lies about Allah. So when you understand Allah wa bara, right, loving and hating for the sake of Allah, some forms of harshness is a good deed. Now, unfortunately, some go overboard or they use it when they shouldn't use it because there are steps to it. But I'm just saying, some of these things are good deeds. But some people just be like, hey, we are Muslim, because they tying all this in together and not understanding Muslim is very simple. A very simple thing. Like you could see, and when you get into the hadiths and the stories of the companions, for one of them to be called a Muslim, they took it as a diss. Like, man, you dissing me. But let's continue, right? So then it says, also, the ones who are going to get this guidance, those who had the correct beliefs about the unseen, right? They perform salat, ikama as-salat, and spend out of what they have, out of what Allah has provided for them. So Allah blessing you, and then you bless others in the form of zakat and sadaqah. And then they also spend this on themselves in good. They spend on their parents, they spend on their children, and they spend on their wives, and they on their spouses. Women who spend on their husbands. That you can find that during those days, women spent money on their husbands. They didn't have this whole concept of you supposed to do everything for me and I'm supposed to do absolutely nothing for you at all. My money is my money, your money is my money. Not forgetting you dealing with another Muslim. Anything that a woman does for her husband, that's automatic zakat for them, not sadaqah. But we're going to, as we move on to the marriage aspects, we're going to get into those things, man, some of those beliefs and misconceptions that this kafir mentality that has crept into the Muslim ummah. Like I said, like through some of my talks in my classes, some of us, we always talk about what we believed before. We bring some of that to with us in the deen when we accept Islam. When we need to get rid of that. So, like it says, they had the proper beliefs about the unseen, which is another category of Aqidah, right? They perform Iqamah as-Salat. They spend out of what Allah has gave them with others in zakat, charity, taking care of yourself, your family, your parents, Muslims, the miskin, poor Muslims, right? And then it says, who believe in the wahi, what has been sent down. What's wahi? Wahi is Quran and Sunnah, what has been revealed from the Prophet that he came with. When you understand that the first 3 years when there wasn't a Quran, when the Rasul Wahi used to come to him, and it would start be dreams that would come true, this was revelation. These things would be counted as Sunnah. So right here, when it's saying the Wahi, right, the revelation, what has been sent down, right? So it's saying, so just to give y'all a little Arabic, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ. So this is a form of a mu'min. These are the ones who have that right belief. So those who believe in the Quran and Sunnah that has been sent down, right? So what has been sent down to the Prophet and that which was sent down before, the wahi that was sent down before, which a lot of people want to call the Old Testament and the New Testament, the Torah and the Injil. But we know there was more books than that, right? And they believe with certainty, with yaqeen in the hereafter. right? Everything. The Barzakh, the questions in the grave, everything. So the ones who have all these proper beliefs, this book, the Quran, is going to guide them. Keep in mind, it's saying this book, there's nothing in it that you should doubt. It's a guidance for all the people that's accurate on these levels. So all that got to be intact for you to get the type of guidance that you're supposed to get from the Quran al-Karim. You understand? So, continuing on, and what Allah says, the ones that fits all these categories, mu'taqun, the proper beliefs, salat, the zakat. We talking about zakat, more than just sadaqah, and to the Muslims, sharing what Allah has gave you with others, right? What it says, it continues on and say, those are the ones. These are the ones, right? They are the ones on true guidance from their Lord, their Rabb. So when you look at the categories of Tawheed, when we had lordship there, Rububiyyah, that's Rabb, your lordship. So when we put it, this is another form where it's saying from their Lord, from their Rabb. This is showing Allah's lordship. So this is one of the categories of Tawheed. So these are the ones that's on the true guidance from our Rabb, from our Lord. You understand? Now, other things, what I like about lordship is, in the Lord, in the Quran al-Karim, it says certain things like, have you seen the one who has taken their desires as their Lord? See, the kuffar, they used it because they use the term God. They could say God has become your money. You see what I'm saying? People take the money as their God. They take sex as their God. But see, in the deen, because the way that these categories is, your desires, whatever that is, hustling, women, men, sex, they can become your Lord. So when you stuck on the right category and you understand Tawheed, you want to be up on the guidance from our Lord, the Lord of the Alameen, who controls all of the worlds, all of the mankind, all the provisions, all the sustenance comes from our Lord. Alhamdulillah. So, like it says, they are the ones on the true guidance from the Lord, and they are the successful ones, right? The successful ones, like we say, true success is in this deen, not what's considered success in the world of the kuffar. Cars, clothes, money, material. You see what I'm saying? Because you could look at Bill Gates, Elon Musk. They have more money than they can ever spend. They are what you would consider successful. Some of these rappers, actors, even some of them Muslim, with money, jewelry, even with the women, the female rappers and the female entertainers with just more money than they could spend. We look at that as success. But in the deen, when it comes to what Allah has sent down, they are not successful. So, but it's letting you know these categories. So you got to know how to read your Quran. All these categories is letting us know the Quran is going to guide, is a guidance for the ones that stay within these guidelines. And then they are the successful. They are the successful. So your entry level is coming in as a Muslim. Then you got to move on to these levels to stay within those guidelines. So that's why I said we're going to touch this, because it speaks a little bit about the Muslim and the higher levels of Islam. But now it's finna get to the opposite. So when you see with your Quran, as you start to read it, you'll notice on one level, it'll start to talk about those who do this, they guarantee paradise where rivers flow beneath. And when you look at the Arabic, it usually had the term mu'min there. But in English, it'll say believer. So you will see where it'll leave Muslim out of these categories, but it'll put mu'min there. Okay? To show you the difference. So this is why you want to start to strive to become a mu'min for real. Because a lot of these blessings is for the ones who is a mu'min. And when you understand this, and then when you see where it refers to Muslims that end up in the hellfire, I have yet to come across the Arabic where it used the term a mu'min that ends up in the hellfire or a Muhsin that ends up in the hellfire. Because a mu'min can have a Muslim can have a lot of deficiencies. Because you just entry level, you just accepted that Islam is real. You accept that Islam is the truth. But you don't accept the Quran and the Sunnah. We won't get into details because let me hurry on with this, right? So like I say, they are the ones who are successful, and what's some of that success? Because they are the ones that's on the guidance that comes from their Lord. And they are the ones who's going to benefit from the Quran. Right? So then it says, now it comes to the disbelievers. Verily, those who disbelieve, it's the same to them whether you warn them or not. They're not going to believe. You see what I'm saying? And they're going to persist in their disbelief. Sometimes they're going to get worse feeling like they spiting you. Now check this out. Allah has set a seal on their hearts and on their hearing. So they can hear you, but it's not sinking in. They can't comprehend it because their heart is sealed up. Once their heart is sealed up, and see, that's the beauty of Iman. Iman is what's in the heart that's correct. Once it's sealed up, nothing can get in there. And when you understand about the heart being sealed up, because it get covered up from the sins and the ways that you act to where it becomes hard. And when it becomes a hard heart, nothing can get in there. And they can hear what you're saying, but they can't comprehend it. It don't make no sense to them. They don't want to hear it. And then if it do make sense to them, they reject it. Because sometimes Islam goes against what we desire. You might have to stop being that street guy. You might have to stop being that woman in the streets. Right? So this is the disbelievers, right? Allah has set a seal on their hearts and on their hearing. They are closed from accepting Allah's guidance, and on their eyes there is a covering. To them, there's going to be a great torment. Right? They're going to suffer a tremendous punishment in this life and in the hereafter. Right? And of mankind, now it's coming into the hypocrites. And of mankind, there are some who say, we believe in Allah and the last day, while in fact, they don't truly believe. They don't truly believe. So you can have like certain offshoots of Muslims that say, we believe in Allah, we believe in the last day, but this is our prophet. And see, I'm gonna touch a question because one of the brothers had asked me about. He's seen, people starting to be familiar with this. That's an Arab religion. That's the Arab way. You acting like an Arab. So one of the brothers asked me, where did that come from? They asked me on Telegram, so I'm gonna address it right here. That originated from a guy named Timothy Drew that they called Noble Drew Ali. He had the MSTA, the Moore Science Temple of America. He was the first one that started to say in his literature, stay away from those dirty Arabs. They practice Islam, we practice Islamism. They're Muslim, we're Muslims. we're practicing the true level, basically, because I don't think he was familiar with the term Sirato Mustaqim. So what he referred to as Sirato Mustaqim, he called it Islamism. Islamism. So he was like, stay away from their masjids, stay away from their dirty, he called them dirty Arabs. He called that the form of Islam that they practice, what we practice, dirty religion, right? Criticize them how they is overseas. Now, certain individuals, some people don't want to accept it, but I know for a fact, Fard Muhammad was a member of the Muhsin Temple of America. You can even see pictures of Elijah Muhammad when he was Elijah Poole learning. He was a member of the Muhsin Temple of America. Before they changed the name to the Nation of Islam, they was actually called the Temple of People of Science or something like that. So that teaching, that's Arab stuff. Then the Arabs, that started with Noble Drew Ali. And then it came through the Nation of Islam. And then it went from the Nation of Islam through Elijah Muhammad's son, Wafdeen Muhammad. But the origins of it and the same talk, that started with Noble Drew Ali, as far as us saying it. So that's where it came from. I know the origins of it, and I know the destruction of it, and the reason why they said these things, because they don't, one thing, when people want you to be followers, see, we're going to keep it real. Noble Drew Ali, he ate off his nation. Yeah, he helped them, he uplifted them, just like some people who have churches, the black churches. Yeah, they uplift their people, but they eat off of them. We just going to keep 100. Elijah Muhammad, them brothers, they ate off the Nation of Islam. One thing, the last thing that they need for you to do is figure out, we talking about we Muslims, we talking about this Islamism, but you need to stay away from dirty Arabs before you find out what we teaching you is some stuff we came up with. So what's the main thing to do? Stay away from them dirty Arabs. Stay away from their mosque. Stay away from that dirty religion. They practice, that dirty religion is Islam. We practice Islamism. And due to that, people have some misbeliefs in their deen. And they can't even really understand their Quran the way that they should because of this mindset. So, let me continue on. So, like I said, the hypocrites, so of mankind, and there are some who say, we believe in Allah in the last day, yet they are not true believers. So they can be Muslim though, but a true believer is going to be a mu'min. So look what else it says, right? In their hearts is a disease of doubt and hypocrisy, and Allah will increase that disease. So their belief, their hypocrisy and doubt is going to get greater. And you start to see them come to the point where Allah says things about himself, and then they say, no, Allah can't do that. Allah, it's impossible for Allah to move because he created movement. Oh, it's impossible. There's no way Allah could do this. That don't make any sense. When we put that's why we put that word, the name and attribute of Allah, al-Muqtadir. Anytime a Muslim start talking about what Allah can't do, what's impossible for Allah to do, they up on some deviations because there's nothing that's impossible for Allah. Now there's things Allah don't do. Allah tells us, no, I don't have a son. No. You know what I'm saying? So that's not saying, but do that mean it's impossible? You can't turn around and say it's impossible for Allah to do that. But that's all something that Allah informs us. That's something that he don't do. You understand? So when they start talking about what's impossible and put limitations on Allah, they got some disease in their heart of doubt. Like the Quran telling us. So like Allah saying, that sickness is going to increase and they are going to suffer from a painful punishment for the lies that they telling. They falling into lying about Allah. They falling into lying about His messenger. They falling into lying about Allah's book. And then even as to go as far as to say we need to rewrite how it should be interpreted because we need it to fit the way we need it to fit so they could fit all the kufr that we don't want to leave in our country. Batil. But Allah's informing us of this, right? And when it's said to them, don't be amongst the mischief makers. So in the Arabic, where it said, don't be amongst the mischief makers, don't be spreading corruption. Don't go start teaching that foolishness and that nonsense because you're causing people to deviate from the path of Allah. And then it says that they say, now this is the hypocrites. In the Arabic, they translate it as reformer, but it says the muslihuna. This is basically Muslims. Muslims on a particular path. We reformers. We trying to call people back to what's correct, right? So it says, when it say to them, don't spread that corruption. Don't spread that mischief. Y'all causing mischief, man. Y'all misleading the Muslims. And they say, no, we are only peacemakers. We the Muslimun. We are the reformers. We trying to teach people. No, that's that old Arab stuff. You need to do it this way. But then we need that dalil. Okay, cool. We need to do it that way. Show us in the Quran. Show us in the Sunnah. No, the correct understanding of the Quran, correct understanding of the Sunnah, and then correct understanding of the Athar, the Ijma', the people who learned directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Show us from that. Because if you can't find it in these three sources, you don't have a foundation to stand on. Not from the opinion, not from this imam, not from this sheikh, not from this scholar, not from this madhab. That's why you got to understand and know your dalil. Because right now people say anything that they want to say about this deen and we accept it, and you don't want to fall into that. Because you could end up being an innovator, or you could end up deviating from the religion, and you could end up in one of these categories where you're not going to get the type of guidance that the Quran is going to give you. So look what else it says, right? So of course, when you saying to them, calling them what's to correct, hey man, y'all misguiding the people, man. Don't spread that corruption. No, we the ones. We, whether they calling themselves Salafi, Ashari, because everything is breaking into groups. Not saying these calls ain't correct, but sometimes the people that's the da'is, they're adding their own little twisting things to some of these groups. You want to know that proper dalil. What Allah said, how it should be interpreted, what the messenger, the prophet and messenger said, how it should be interpreted, and the athar for the people who he taught, how they interpreted that, how they acted that out, how they lived that, how they became Mumin and Muhsins. Okay, let me continue on, right? It continues on and say, indeed, although they saying we the Muslihun, Allah is saying indeed, it is they who are the corrupters. But they fail to perceive it. So when it's saying they fail to perceive it, go to the ayats above this where it says, Allah has set a seal on their heart, on their hearing, their eyesight. They dumb, deaf, and blind. They can hear, but they can't comprehend it. They can't perceive that they the ones who causing a lot of the problems. They can't even perceive it. Why? Because that's the disease that's in their heart being increased. Like Allah said. So you want to stay in the beginning. This is Surah Al-Baqarah. And this is beauty. And this is, I ain't going to go into why the Quran is put in the order it's in. But when you look at this order right after Al-Fatiha, we started in ayah number 2. After Surah Al-Baqarah. And all this guidance, and it's going down to 218. So like it says, they are the ones who cause the mischief, but they can't even perceive it. They don't understand that. You're not going to be able to get them to understand it, right? And when it is said to them, those hypocrites believe as the people, as Rasul, the Ansar, the Mujarin, the Sahaba believed as they believed. They shall say, shall we believe as the fools have believed? Verily, they are the fools, but they don't even know it. They don't even know it. Especially when they bring racism into it. No matter what race they are. And I'm not just referring to African American sex. This is Arab sex. This is Pakistani sex. This is all of that. This is in Africa. That's the Egyptians. We the Sufis. That's what they do in Sudan. It happens everywhere. But you got to know what the Quran says, right? Why follow the Quran and Sunnah like that, man? That's what the fools did. We know better. So then it says, and when they need those who believe, when they meet those who believe, though, now keep in mind, when they meet those who believe, they say, we believe just like you believe. They talk that Quran and Sunnah, but when you put a Sunnah in front of them and say, this is the Sunnah right here. Oh, no, we Sunnis. We up on the correct Sunnah. Okay, here go a Sunnah right here. Why you don't follow it? You know all this deen. Do you know any Islamic law? Oh, no, you don't need to know all that to be a good Muslim. When they get along, when they leave from you and they get what they, like it says, and they get with their shayateens, right? Devils, polytheists, and hypocrites, they say, truly, we really all on the same page. Yeah, that don't need to be taught. That don't need to be talked about. But when they with you, oh man, we need this. We need to start doing this from the Quran. This is from the Sunnah. But then when they start getting taught, they have a problem with it. And then when they with each other, they diss that. Allah is laying it out for us, right? So what Allah says, they say, truly, we with you. We just mocking that person. Right? And Allah, but it says Allah really mocking at them and gives them increase in their wrongdoing, and then it allows them, their wrongdoing is increased so that Allah can leave them wandering blindly. You don't even know that you're wandering around blindly. So like one of the brothers said about the laws in Islam, I'm going to tell you one law because it's an important one, because there's certain things that said about signs of the hours. It's basically when it gets to the point where nobody understands the laws of inheritance. Now, I'm going to say one law, the laws of inheritance. All of us Muslims right now, right? We Muslims striving to become Mumin and Muslims. Right now, if any of us pass away, how many of us got it written down, of us who have children, us who have parents, that's Muslim, that what we have, the way it should be inherited, is passed down them correctly? Who know how to divvy up what they have to be inherited to their children? Or if you have Muslim parents and they have something that the inheritance should be passed down to you, who knows the laws of inheritance? I'm telling you, I done seen Muslims pass away and pass away and pass away. Some of them had Muslim children, some of them had Muslim parents, and some of them had things, houses, properties. They family end up fighting over it as Muslims. Why? Because one, they didn't understand the laws of inheritance, and a lot of people, due to their country, how they do inheriting thing, the way the kuffar set it out, what your country do, they go get a lawyer and decide this, and this, because they don't understand the laws of inheritance. And the laws of inheritance is extremely important because it's broken down in Quran al-Kareem alongside with hadiths. So when we talk about law, Some people don't even know there is laws of inheritance. But we think we the best thing since sliced bread. Hey, this is our Islam. This is the way it's supposed to be, this and this and that. And all that, y'all following these other people, this, and this. And you sit down and say to them, oh, okay, y'all the best group. We supposed to get down like you. What's the laws of inheritance? Crickets. What's the difference between a Muslim and a Mu'min? Crickets. What does the Quran say about the Muslims? Crickets. But you're supposed to be followed. Especially, I'm supposed to follow you and your way and your version that you came up with because we both African American. Crickets. And when you get down and look at this, some of this stuff, it's nifaq. Now, some people just on that because this is the only thing they've been told. This is the only thing that they taught. So you have two levels of nifaq, in belief and in action. So they not necessarily have some nifaq in their actions, but they have some nifaq in their beliefs. You understand? And what they acting up on is due to the nifaq, because they trying to act up on a version that's conducive to their people. Whether it's black, whether it's Arab, whether it's Pakistani, whether it's Somali, whether it's Sudani, whether it's Misrian, which is what the Egypts refer to themselves as Misrians. Egyptian is some American English stuff. Just like Morocco, Maghribi. Morocco isn't called Morocco. That's what we call it. It's called Maghrib. So whether they want to break these things down and make it conducive to their race. Nifaq. So as we continue, so Allah mocking them. And then Allah leaving them on that mockery to continue and wandering blindly in their defiance. Allah, so this is the beginning of the Quran. From Surah 2, we only on ayat number 16. Look at how deep that is. Allah laying it down and start off with the ones who gonna get the guidance. Then it go to the disbelievers, and now look at all these ayats about these individuals that's full of nifaq. But keep in mind, they say they believe in Allah. They say they believe in the day of resurrection. They say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a prophet and messenger. But when it comes to actions about this deen and how the Quran should be understood, oh, should we believe as the fools believed? Hypocrites, B. This is what the Quran is telling us. So what is they? They Muslims with some jacked up belief system. And Allah leaves them wandering blindly. And if you're not careful, you can end up in a group and these can be your companions. These could be the ones that you have in Jumu'ah with. These can be your teacher. And then if they love one of y'all enough, let's say we're going to say Fulan. Because I don't want to call a name and it happen to be somebody's name. So we're going to say Fulan is their imam. Fulan is the top of the food chain. So then they just start to refer to themselves as the Fulan community. We the Fulan community. Got to be careful. So look. So then it says they are the ones who purchase error. They purchase misguidance instead of guidance, man. They trading off the guidance for misguidance. But they trade is profitless. And they'll never be guided. They are not the ones that's guided. Coming into 17. Their likeness is the likeness of one who kindles a fire. They in the dark. So they light up a big fire. When it lights up all around them, now they in the light. Now they can see. And then Allah takes that light right back away from them. And now they stuck in the darkness. That's what they like. So translation, they stuck in the dark. Even if they figure out a way to get some light. And for that split second, like, whoo, alhamdulillah, we done found some light. Allah take that light right back away from them. And now they stuck in darkness. This is what Allah telling us. Now the Arabic is even stronger. So I'm translating certain words. And like I'm saying, in these words, you will see Mumin, Muslihun. It's breaking these categories down. But in the English, it's not. So then it says, it ends off, well, I'm going to end it on 18. They are deaf, dumb, and blind. So they will not return to the right path. I.e., they deviated. So now that they're stuck in their deviations, therefore they are deviants. And they're not going to return to Sirat al-Mustaqim. But guess what they're going to be? Muslims. They take their shahada. They're going to be Muslim. So let me continue on. Let's get down to the sections of Muslim. So one ayat I want to touch on is in Surah 15, ayat number 2. Right? Let me, because I want to show y'all the beauty of it. Surah Al-Baqarah, where we started off, where it said, this is a book that there has no doubt. You shouldn't doubt anything in it. Right? Don't doubt anything in it. So now we come to 15. We're going to read ayat number 1. But ayat number 2 is our focus. Alif Lam Ra. These are the verses of the book that make the Quran clear. These are the verses of the book that are clear. See how the book, this is a guidance, right? There's nothing in it that you should doubt. This is a guidance for the Muttaqun. Then right here, this is the book. This is the Quran, right? Where it says Kitab Quran Mubin, right? This book, this Quran. So it's saying, it's mentioning the word Quran in Kitab, the Quran book that's made clear. Because a lot of people want to change it and try to distinguish it with a different book and all this other stuff, man. But these is the verses of the book, that the clear book, the clear Quran that make these verses clear, right? Coming into 2, right? So let's say the day will come when the disbelievers, hold on, my bad. So this making it clear. So how much would those who disbelieve, right? So in your Arabic, Kanua Muslimina, right? So it's referring to the Muslims. But this is, so I'm going to show you in English where they put down submitted to Allah or accepted Islam. So this is how they translate Muslim, to submitted to Allah or accepted Islam. Just showing the breakdown that there's a difference in these three without the hadith, with the Quran ayats. That's the main focus of this, right? So how much would those who disbelieve, the kafir, right? The kafir, how much would those who disbelieve wish that they had accepted Islam, that they had submitted? But it's using the word, so in English, they saying would certainly have submitted to Allah, accepted Islam, but in the Arabic, it's saying have became Muslim. How much so would the disbelievers wish when his day come? Because this book, the Quran, is making it clear. A Muslim is one that accepts Islam. They use the word submit, but you're submitting to the belief that Allah is real. You understand? That Islam is real. So that's what I'm saying. When you see the Muslim in the Arabic and you can read the Arabic, keep in mind the other part of this lesson is some of what you lose in the English. In the English. So it's saying when that day comes, how much is it going to be that the kuffar is going to wish that they had accepted Islam, that they had became Muslims, that they became part of Muslimin is the Muslims in a group, the Ummah, right? So that's one where you can see in 15:2 where it's breaking down Muslim, it's separating being a Muslim from a Mu'min, right? Let me continue on because I want to show this. This just a couple of ayats. So when you go to 16, Surah 1689. When you go to 1689, right? And it says, consider, O Prophet, the day we will call against every faith community, every ummah that was sent down, a witness of their own. And we will call you to be a witness against these people of yours. We have revealed to you the book as an explanation. So this is the Quran, right? We have revealed to you the Quran as an explanation of all things, a guide, a mercy, and good news for those who fully submit. See, in English it says for those who fully submit. I'm saying that because, or accept, but when you look at the Arabic, it's referring to the Muslimin. So this is what it's saying. Instead of it saying for those who have accepted Islam, those who became Muslim, right? So it's again, it's Allah is telling the Rasul, remember the day when we shall raise up from every nation, every ummah, in the Arabic, every ummah, right? From every ummah, a witness from amongst them. And then we're going to have you be a witness against all of them because we gave you the book, the Quran, as an explanation of everything, a guidance, a mercy, and glad tidings, and giver of good news to those who became Muslim. Not Mumin, not Muhsin. So let me touch a couple of more because I'm gonna have to wrap it up and then we'll continue. But I wanna we'll get I can touch it real quick. It's only one ayat, just to give you one more. But I want to give you the most important one, which I wrapped it up. Hold on. Now y'all make sure y'all go back and watch this because this and that we're gonna have a quiz on this one. And then the questions that y'all have for homework, turn them in by Friday. Because we want all that done and graded so we continue on what we got to do Monday. So if you have to go back and look at this, make sure you take some good notes because we're going to have a quiz. Right? Some of it is going to be from what y'all already know, and then there's going to be basically 3 questions, pop quiz questions. Right? So look, we go to 108. 108. Say, O Muhammad, what has been revealed to me is this. So he's telling Rasul to say this to people. That that Allah is only one. Right? Will you then submit to his will? Right? Will you then submit? But what it's saying is, will you become part of the Muslimun? Take your shahada. Testify that there's no God, there's no deity worthy of worship but Allah. So I've been revealed to let you know this. Will you become Muslim? Accept Islam. Muslim is entry base. It's empty. You can have nifaq. You can have kufr. You could be up to no good. You could be a criminal, a mujrimun, in Sharia law and in the laws of your city or your country, your state. The laws of humanity. You could be a flat out creep, but you could still be Muslim. You could be a liar, a deviant, but you can't be mu'min. Now keep in mind, like I said in the beginning, when you see mu'min and you look at some of the ayats, the ones who going to get the true guidance, the ones who going to get the rivers that where the paradise where rivers flow beneath. When you look at the Arabic, it's referring to movements. So Muslim is very entry level. Last one as far as Muslim. And then I'm going to hurry up, man, because I know we all got things to do. But this is, so when you go to Surah 49, now this is a very important one right here. Surah 49, start at 14. Surah 49, ayah number 14, where it says, the Bedouins, right? They, the Bedouins, say, we believe. Now, in the English, they saying we believe, but what they said was, we are mu'min, right? The Bedouins say, we are mu'mins. This level. Allah tells the Rasul, say, you believe not. You believe not, but you only say, we have surrendered in Islam. We have submitted in Islam. You're not a mu'min. You're only a Muslim. This is what Allah telling the Rasul. Now check it out. But say, you have only surrendered. You have only submitted to Islam. You accepted Islam. For faith, iman, has not yet entered your hearts. You're not a mu'min. You're just a Muslim. So quit calling yourselves mu'mins. This is what Allah said, right? So look what it says. Faith has not entered your heart yet, but if you obey Allah and His Messenger, what's that? Quran and Sunnah. If you obeying is what? Following instructions of something. Doing what you've been told with obedience. That's what obeying is. Doing what you have been told with obedience. So what it say? Do what you have been told as far as obedience to Allah and His Messenger. Obey the Quran and obey the Sunnah. But they talking about we don't need no Sunnah. It's right here. And then it says, He will not decrease anything in rewards for your deeds if you do this. Verily Allah is Verily Allah is Verily Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. Back to the Asima Wasifat, the third category of Tawheed. Allah using it, right? Then it says, only those who are the true mu'min, who have believed in Allah, who have followed the Sunnah, and afterwards doubt not about any of it. Not saying, I don't know about that Sunnah. It's 400 years later. That's doubt. Oh, Allah says He's the most giving and the most merciful. Oh, well, I don't believe Allah can be that because His creation is merciful. That's doubt. That's doubt. Right? So a true movement, they got it together in here. They never doubted. Then it says, and they strive with their wealth and their lives for the cause of Allah. Those are the ones who are the truthful. So Allah is distinguishing the difference between a Muslim and a movement. And these were some individuals who came and tried to say they was movement, but they telling the Rasul that they movement. And then Allah putting him on. No, they ain't movement. They're just Muslims. Right? Then he's giving some distinguish when he's telling this is what I need you to say to them. So he's having the Rasul put the Bedouins on. Y'all not movements. Allah said this. But listen, right? So then when it says say, will you inform Allah of your deen while Allah knows all that is in the heavens and all that is in the earth? And Allah is, once again, Asima Wasi Fat, Allah is all aware of everything. Allah knows everything. As for those who say Allah can't know anything or be aware because his creation knows stuff in a way, like I'm aware of the time. So therefore Allah can't be aware of the time because his creation is aware of it. This is doubt. This is nifaq. You see what I'm saying? So, like you said, are y'all trying to, Allah saying, how you going to tell Allah what you is? Because they dispute it. Allah know what y'all are. Allah knows everything. And then Allah put them on. These are some individuals that regard a favor to you that they have embraced Islam. That they took their shahada, that they became Muslim. They felt like it was a favor that, so Islam owes them something. Just like some people, because I became Muslim and because I'm this and that, Allah owes it to me to enrich me. I did 20 rakats of Tarawih. Allah owes me. I put $50 in the box. Islam owes me. They considered them accepting Islam as a favor. When you do a favor for somebody, what happened? They owe you, right? I did a favor for you, now you do a favor for me. So Allah is distinguishing the difference between a Muslim and a movement. Now, I'm going to close on this just to touch this last part, but we're going to come back. I'm going to put this line right here for class 3, and we know to start on this area. We know to start right here, but I'm going to touch Quran ayat, surah number 2, 195, surah number 3, 134, surah number 3, ayat 148, and then surah 5, ayat number 13. Now the reason why I point out all these ayats, and there's more, but this is just for the sake of time. So the closest one, let's just pull up one of them. But all of them, hold on, let's pull up Surah 2, ayat number 195. Ayat number 195, inshallah ta'ala, where it says, and spend in the cause of Allah, and do not throw yourselves into destruction, right, with your own hands. Basically, don't destroy yourself. We get into the tafsirs, don't destroy yourself. So some people put into certain things in the categories of, like people who say smoking cigarettes is just makruh. But smoking cigarettes harms the body. This is a form of you destroying yourself with your own hands. People who eating and gluttonous and giving themselves all type of diseases from the way they eating and the things they putting in their body, they destroying themselves with their own hands. So this falls under the commands of how you supposed to put certain things in your body and be mindful of what you're doing, because you're falling into destroying yourself with your own hands physically. And then spiritually, your iman, what's on the inside, you can be destroying that because your iman fluctuates. It goes up and down based off of your sins, based off your good and bad deeds. Right? So look what it says though. And spend in the cause of Allah, and do not throw yourselves into destruction, right, with your own hands by destroying your own self. And then it's also putting a little more fiqh in it by not spending with your wealth in the cause of Allah, being miser. Right? So when it says wealth, that don't just mean money. You don't share none of your food when you have extra food with the poor. These things. You got extra clothes, extra shoes, just sitting around. You don't give that to the poor. Wealth is everything that you have, not just your dollar amount. Right? What you have in excess. And then it says, and do good, right? For Allah certainly loves the good doers. This is another word you lose a little bit. So when you look at the Arabic, it says that Allah loves the Muhsin, the Muhsinun, right? The Muhsinun. I'm pronouncing that wrong. Muhsinina. I'm sorry. The Muhsinina. Muhsinina. Stop a lot. So that's plural for Muhsins, right? So this is your category. Then you also got a surah. Whole surah 23 is the Mu'min. Then surah 63 is the Munafiqun, which let me circle that because we got to get to that too. So this is going to be part of lesson 3. Lesson 3. We're going to get to surah the Munafiqun, the first 11, and then surah Mu'min, the first 11, right? But what I'm pointing out is where it says, so in the English, it'll say good doers. But in the Arabic, it's saying that Allah loves the Muhsinun, the Muhsinina, right? So the Muhsin, Allah loves the Muhsin. But you look at 195, 2 195, 3 134, 3 148, Surah 5, ayah number 13, and it says that Allah loves the Muhsinun. So you know that it's more than just in English translation, a good doer, one who does good. See, it could put you in that category when not understanding a Muhsin is the one who got their Islam, they physical practice, they done entered Islam wholeheartedly, and then they got their whole entire belief system, and they don't have none of that nifaq, they don't have none of that kufr, they don't have none of that bid'ah, and they don't have none of that deviation in their belief system, right? And then they live their life with that taqwa, with that fear and that consciousness of Allah, knowing that Allah is watching them, right? Knowing that Allah got eyes on them at all times. And they live their life in that way. They live that Quran and Sunnah out to the best of their ability. So they got 1 together, they got 2 together, and it equals 3. And when you see where Allah is referring to who He loves, it always refers to a Muslim. It don't say that Allah loves the Mu'min. It doesn't say that Allah loves the Muslim. But it says that Allah loves the Muhsin. So when you get into it, it'll show you the categories of what they get. That's why you need to know the difference. So then when you start to go to the hadiths of Jibreel, and like I say, we doing this because we going Dalil base, starting from the Quran. A lot of people don't break this down with the Quran ayats. And this is just the few that I chose for the sake of time. And that's going to be some of your homework to go find after level 3. So I'm going to let y'all know ahead of time. To go see if you can find, I'm going to give y'all one. Go find in your Quran, this is going to be in lesson 3, so I'm going to give y'all a little head start. This is going to be the homework from lesson 3. Find the categories of people who Allah doesn't guide. And see how many Quran ayats you can find on the ones that says Allah doesn't guide the ones that's this. Allah doesn't guide this. And see what the category is in the Arabic and what the English says. So we could just feel like our regular good doing as a regular person. Like some of us, because we may have a job or we may be accomplishing some things. I hear from the kuffar all the time. Man, Allah love me, man. Life is this and that. But they might be headed to the hellfire, to be honest with you. That stuff might be a punishment for them because they done became a slave to it. I'll put all my deen aside to accomplish these goals. I can't pray because I got to work. I can't go to Jumar because I got this and that going on. I can't fast because this and that. I got to accomplish these goals. I got to accomplish these goals. What has that became? Their Lord. Not saying that you shouldn't accomplish goals. But some people feel like because certain things that's dunya based, that Allah loves them because they dunya. But when you understand, and then they might look at this Quran ayat in English where it says a good doer, which technically yes. So they place themselves in those categories because they want to feel like Allah loves them. But see, Allah loves a Muslim. A Muhsin is one who's accomplishing goals in his deen. Not this dunya. Not this dunya. See, the deen is the meat. The dunya is the condiments, the ketchup, the mustards. You got to be more accomplished in this deen. Not in the dunya. Allah loves the ones who is accomplishing in this deen. And we're going to get to that. But let me go ahead and log off. I got to get ready to go ahead and handle some business, man. So lesson 3, I got it down. We're going to continue. Somebody, if y'all can remember to remind me just to see if you got in your notes. We starting off with the movement. And we got to also read the first 11 ayats of Surat al-Munafiq, the Munafiqun, Surah 63. And then Surat al-Mu'minun, Surah 23. The first 11 ayats in both. And that's where we're going to start at. And then we're going to touch some more on the Muhsin. But like I said, this is Quran based. But if you don't have the Arabic, sometimes you can't get this terminology because they don't put it in English. And sometimes there's not one good word in English that can describe what a Muhsin is. So they have put something like good doer, which waters it down. So we putting that in a perspective. Then eventually, once we start to move to the Sunnah-based dalil and start to go back up everything that we saying with the hadith, so you can see slowly, but what I'm surely doing it with everybody is we using fiqh, because our categories, what we have right here, of fiqh, your major categories in the intellect and knowing and understanding Allah, these things help you know and understand Allah better and what Allah is trying to tell us. You understand? This is helping us. So this is fiqh based. Also with the dalil, Quran. Then when we get to the sunnah base, the hadiths is going to break it down even more, because then it start to teach you how to put certain things into practice to become a movement. Certain things and certain deeds that you need to do so you become one of the ones that Allah loves. See, that's what the Quran gives you what to do. The hadith gives you how to do it. The ijma helps you understand it and keep it in a perspective that it's supposed to be in without you adding your own little twist to it, bringing imperfection to a deen that Allah perfected. See, a lot of people don't understand when Allah say that He perfected this deen, that He perfected this religion for us. You can only bring imperfection to it. So when you get to talking about what this person that you love said and that what that person said, but it goes against Quran and Sunnah, then you basically saying you know better than Allah. You know better than His messenger. You know better than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we know that's batil. But some of these individuals in these groups, they think they know Allah's deen better than Allah. Better than this prophet and his messenger. And that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Any mistakes I made or slips of the tongue came from myself and the shaitan. Anything I said that was correct and accurate came from Allah Azza wa Jal al-Muqtadir wal Alim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.